There we go. This is James speaking. This is a quick, well, I don't know if it's going to be a quick video, but it's a little bit different and I want to be upfront with you. I'm going to be this isn't a how-to video. It's a what's going on, this is what I'm thinking kind of video. And actually, I need your help. And if you can put your comments below, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'm going to, here's the issue. One of the things that I did a long time ago in 2009, I think I mentioned this in another video, is I did have my original YouTube channel in 2009, I think was the first time that I actually published something there. And I'll show you the channel after, because I did publish there this morning, the first time in 14 years, I think, that I published on that channel. But I do have some other channels, and the one that I've been working on now is this one, and I've been creating a lot of content about creating online content, online courses, training sites, everything to do in that particular space. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. I'm having a blast do it. And when it creates content, I have so much stuff in my head. I could talk about this every day, all day. And the courses I've been doing, or the videos I've been doing, I've been trying to focus on things like AI tools for creating YouTube videos and how-to videos and courses and strategies, and how to combine different tools and different strategies, and what are the pieces that you need to actually deliver online courses or any of this material, what's some of the tech involved, how do you do AI prompts and stuff like that. And I find myself struggling because I don't know if videos like this are something that I can or should continue to do on this channel, or I should go back to my old channel and try and actually get that started and working again. So I don't know which one to do. If you do have some thoughts on that, please let me know which ones you want to see or which ones that you don't want to see. The reason I did this old school versus new school is I've identified, or I think I see some big changes coming for people that are over 40, a little bit maybe older, or have been around for a while, especially in this digital marketing space, how things are changing. And I've been talking about it a little bit in all of the videos that I've been doing, but it kind of came to a head yesterday when I was talking with one of my buddies, one of my first customers from my first membership site. I think it was in 2005 or 2006, and his name's Steve Rosenbaum. He's got a whole, we've done a whole bunch of projects together. He kind of went off on a different track or approach that I did, but we were chatting again yesterday, and we were thinking about, talking about the old school approach of what was important versus this new school part, which is becoming very apparent to me and some other people when it comes to creating content. And I'll do a little recap of where I'm at with that, and then why I think it's important, and why we're going to have to make a decision between kind of old school and new school. And even the people that have not created their first, like if you're an over 40 content creator, or someone that's just thinking about creating content or getting online to create a website and sell digital products, that kind of thing, there's some big decisions that you have to make. And because you're a little bit older, the decisions that you make may not be the right ones, because if you come into this with this framework of old school versus new school, they don't necessarily match, but maybe they do. So let's, let me take a look at this, and I'll step back and kind of explain where I came from in this, and how it can affect what I do in the future, but more importantly, you do in the future if you're just thinking of getting started and want to know, like, how do I build a digital product business, or how do I build an education business? How do I get started creating and selling courses online, or even is that the best thing to do? There's a whole bunch of announcements from YouTube just in the last couple days. It's even making things more not convoluted, but giving more options, and which one is the right one. I know which one I'm guided towards, but is it the old school approach or the new school approach that's going to kind of figure here? So I was talking to Steve, and we were thinking about at least the whole idea of when we got that old school kind of method when we were selling digital products and how-to information, WordPress came out, and that was an easy way for a regular person to create a website to house all their digital product and information product. And I've kind of visited this in a number of videos that I've done earlier, but the thing about this is that all of that content that was created, you needed a website, because the majority of the content was text-based. It was a newsletter or an article or a blog post. And then, you may have done some kind of video, but the video was not something that was a quick ad hoc video. It took a long time to create, a long time to produce, and it was very difficult to distribute. So that's kind of the space that I came from. And the other thing was that the traffic that you needed to sell these products and services and how-to guides that we were creating was all of it, most part was organic. So it was traffic that you got from a search engine, and you relied on Google for people searching for your keyword or your keyword phrase. And the whole thing was about being SEO optimized, but that whole focus was text-based, and you tried to create content as quickly as you could, and the content had to be, or in many cases, there was no AI tools or anything like that. So this was like you had to come up with the ideas and you had to write the articles. And it was pretty hard to create that content, and it took a lot of time and a lot of work. But because SEO and that organic traffic was the hard part, you were focused to work on that, or you needed to use joint ventures or work with other people in complementary markets or similar markets and kind of share. And the focus on that was not necessarily getting people to your website to buy something, but it was all about list building and having a newsletter or publishing something on a regular basis. And that thing about email lists and building email lists, interesting, because that's the one thing that I think transfers between old school and new school. That's the common thread or ribbon that ties between it, irrespective of if you're talking about that old school approach or what's happening in the future, which is this whole idea of not creating text content on purpose or as the primary means, as focusing on YouTube and video content. And even that is changing really quickly. And I'll give you an example. Some of the things that I run into, if even a year ago, if you took a look at the YouTube content marketplace, and I'm gonna use some generalities, but just bear with me. The market was all about highly produced, high content production, not interactive, but more entertaining videos that required a video editor, and it was something that you created cuts and multiple versions of content, and it required someone putting it together or stitching it together before it could be uploaded after it was created and gone through a couple iterations beforehand. And that was, a lot of people still do that, and that's, the way it had been for a while. But I think the big change for all of us as content creators and course creators is this whole idea of doing live streaming, which is that new school approach that I'm focused on this channel, and the way I've gone all in on it. So, you look and say, okay, am I going to focus on that old school marketing where I have a WordPress website, or am I going to do the new school thing and not get hung up on the website and look at something like YouTube as basically a home base for my business? And I don't know, I'm not 100% sure which is the best way to go on this. I don't have proof of it, but I know which way I'm going on it. I'm betting on it. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And some of the things at trainingsites.io, the link's below if you don't see it there. The thing that I focused on, and I've had the whole stuff I've done with membership sites on all of the membership sites that I've done over the last 10 or 12 years. The idea behind those originally was using a paywall or requiring people to become a member before they saw the online course. And if I go, if I go just do a search on YouTube and we go take a look for something like, there's content creators, but I'll just do online courses. And if I go do a search on online courses, there's a number of people. Hey, look at this. I'm up right here now when we're going. So these are all online courses or things about creating online courses. And I originally had my business as a membership site with a paywall, or you had to pay to get access to the courses. And one of the things I identified, because I was creating membership sites for other customers, is that in as much as online courses are really great, at the start, they were easy to sell. I have found with the customers that we deal with, again, depending on the topic and how well known you are before you create your course, it's getting very difficult to sell a traditional online course. And this is something that if you are creating your first course, I want you to kind of think about, and not think of it as a course, but think of it as how-to videos to start off with. And again, I did a video on that one just I think last week, talking about the difference on how-to videos versus courses. But that course requires now, because there's so many courses and people creating just courses, it requires what I call an online campus. And if you think of it like a school or a university, there's more than, if you're in an education business, you don't just sell a course. You basically have to build a learning environment, a training site, a campus that includes information, but it also gives people the ability to interact with the instructor, having live classes. And it also has like faculties or communities where people can interact with each other and discuss what's going on and play off of each other. So that whole idea with community and live classes and organized information in courses, I think the whole campus approach is something that's, I just had a little notification there. I think the LinkedIn stream has stopped. But this whole notion of having an education business is growing and changing. So you say, well, do I need a website for that? And in the past, you did. You had to have a WordPress site with a whole bunch of plugins that did stuff for getting people logged in, billing people. You had a particular tool or LMS tool for distributing and organizing the courses. You had a membership or community plugin that you added with discussion forums and member profiles. Maybe you did some live events on Zoom or other pieces, and you tried to kind of kludge it all together. And that was, one way to do it. And it's still a way that I do it a lot of times for companies that are doing B2B business. But if you're a coach, a consultant, someone starting out, the question is, do you need that old school approach anymore? And here's two reasons why when you get going on this and you're thinking about it. Last week, YouTube just announced that they have, they're going to be releasing shortly a number of different pieces to this service, YouTube. The first one is that they're going to allow you to sell courses actually on your YouTube channel. So you're going to be able to create how-to videos on YouTube and organize them in something similar to a playlist, but have a pay-to-view for that playlist. So you're going to be able to sell your courses on the actual YouTube platform. So you don't need a WordPress site to do that. You don't need a plugin to do that. You can use it directly on your YouTube channel or channels. So are you going to do that? New school, or are you going to go back to the old school, or are you going to do both? The other one is they just announced is communities, and communities are starting to roll out. Whether or not it works or not, I don't know, but the whole idea of having or keeping the people that are already on YouTube, which is the second biggest search engine, more people watching YouTube or spending time on YouTube than they are watching TV. if you can get your channel going and your tribe or subscribers or people who are engaged, commenting on your site or now involved in your community, do you need a website to do that? So there's this whole kind of battle, I think, coming between using your YouTube channel as your business and monetizing it on the platform, or using the platform to get people not to a WordPress site, but to a services site or sales page. So that's kind of, I think, what's going to happen. And in fact, the other place to sell, I'm going to go, actually, I'll get to that in a second, because I kind of jumped there, but I want to go back and make sure that I didn't miss something. If I'm going to sell something, digital products, if I'm going to sell courses and my community on my WordPress site, I have to have a whole bunch of pages. In many cases, still, if you go to a website now that's on or WordPress created, which over 40% of the websites that you visit will be on WordPress, especially if they're not business-to-business sites. But you're going to see that there's, even if someone sells services, they'll sell a whole bunch of services that are independent of each other, like individual kind of services, and you may have to pick back and forth between them, and they might have a page for service A, a page for service B, one for C. They might have a home page that introduces their business or what they're about. They may have contact pages, they may have help pages or support pages. If they've got a community, they've got community tabs and all of this different information or areas that are focused. But if that old school approach of creating that big website, if it's offloaded to YouTube in this particular case, what's left? And I think the new school approach is not necessarily WordPress based, but it's going to be one-on-one services are the thing that's going to be what's sold, and you don't need a full website for that. You need a landing page or a sales page to let people know what it is they can buy in terms of a service or maybe a standalone digital product. So you just need a sales page. You don't need the whole website anymore. You've got people in your community on YouTube. The only time you send them is to buy something is on the off of YouTube that's there. And that's when you get into this whole idea of how do I create my YouTube videos so that I have a good call to action in them and have people just go to purchase stuff that isn't on YouTube on these individual sites. So circle back, we were talking about this, and the focus is, okay, so if people are going to be doing more live streams, and people are going to be using the communities and the courses and features on YouTube's, what is the content that you need to create in order to get people engaged with you on your YouTube channel? And I think what's going to happen, and this is what I'm focusing on personally with this channel, is why I'm doing the live streams is because I think is that you're going to have to do, if you're going to do it new school, you're going to have to be able to get comfortable doing live streams. Even if you're just starting, you're going to have to get comfortable doing it, and you're going to have to learn how to create proper YouTube videos that are appropriate for courses and or to get a community engaged and working on YouTube, and also learn how to do calls to action to get people to maybe purchase something that is on a sales page, whether it's a digital product, a how-to, or additional resources that involve you personally outside of your course and course content. So I think, that new school approach of content, it's not text anymore. The content is YouTube. The content is video. And you have the option to distribute it on the YouTube platform and have your learning environment, your campus on YouTube or on your WordPress site, old school versus new school. And I think, that's going to be interesting to see what happens over or with this approach while people are trying to figure out, how do I get involved in the creator economy? How do I create products and services that help people learn about my experiences and what I'm passionate about? How can I answer questions, or how can I best get in front of people? And you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to do it on YouTube, or am I going to do it on my own website? And these are all kind of tough choices, and you're going to have to either decide one or the other, or blend them together. My personal belief is where I'm doing is I'm focusing on the new school approach, but I'm still going to keep my foot in the door with the old school. I'm not going to focus on it. And if you're just starting out, again, the other choice that you have, and I talked about renting or owning your content, that whole idea of having a list or owning your list, I think is that, again, that thread that goes through it. And email automations and having that asset of your subscriber list and access to them, whether they're on the YouTube channel or on YouTube, or whether they're on a website or on their phone, that point of entry, that email address, is the one thing I think is going to tie them all together. So you have choices here. I'm going to keep my own kind of website or lead pages where I can capture an email address. Even though they're a subscriber to a YouTube channel, do I want to make sure I can capture their email address and then send them where I need to go if I'm building a business? And you say, well, I want to own my email address. Of all the things, you want to own your email address and have access to that. Well, you can rent space to do that, or you can own the space. And I did a video, I'll put the link below, on renting versus owning your digital assets. The other area that people are doing old school versus new school is that if you host your business on YouTube, that's like the newest school. The middle school is if you use services like Kajabi or Teachable or Thinkific or some of these other softwares as a service, where you can host your videos and your courses and start to build a community, but you're renting space and paying monthly for these services, as opposed to owning a website and the content in the website. So it's like old school, middle school, and new school, and that kind of space in between. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If people are starting out, I think an easy place to start is just get on YouTube, just get started. And I was talking to another client or customer who is a wicked content creator, got a really cool story, and he was kind of afraid to get on YouTube, and specifically doing live streams or doing videos. And part of the reason was that his assumption was he had to be a video that was recorded and edited, all that fancy stuff, which he didn't have necessarily the time and or creative juice to be able to do that. So it was fancy. And I was trying to explain that, it might be better just for him to get on YouTube and start doing live streams to hone his craft on this new medium, this new school kind of approach. And when I started doing it, the part that was nice for me was when you do live streams, almost no one sees them. Very few people see them when you start. And in fact, you can do live streams where no one sees them. You can mark them as unlisted or private, so that you can just get used to doing a live stream, creating content on a regular basis, and do a whole bunch of practice up front. And if it is any good, you can make it public. If it isn't, you just hide it and try again. And it doesn't require any editing or fancy either time, money, or creative juices to do it. And you can set up some pretty simple systems or use some tools that are inexpensive and or free to start practicing that, and use that approach of, I'm going to use video to get in front of my customers, and that's where I'm going to start on my YouTube channel to see what works and what doesn't work, to see how I can be comfortable or not comfortable. If I do get people to watch, are they asking me questions, or am I getting people watching or not watching? How am I framing the information that I have in my head, or the ideas that I have in my head? Am I too focused, or am I too broad an approach? So, these are all the places where you get to play with it. And this is well before creating an online course. This is really getting your feet on the ground and thinking, okay, I'm going to have an education business. I'm going to need video content, irrespective of what you end up doing, whether it be the old school, my own website, that medium school on someone else's service, or keeping it all on YouTube, and start applying the things like selling courses, which will probably be out, I think, later in the fall or winter season or the beginning of next year, and communities when that becomes available as well, so we can interact with people in that space. So this whole kind of rant is stuff that I've been talking about with longtime customers and members, and also newer customers and members, and I think it's going to be a really interesting time as to which way that you go with this. And the thing that I'm going to focus on personally is making sure that anything that I do across these old school versus new school things is the email list, and hanging on to that email list and working at subscribers and collecting those relationships, or your campus or your student list, and having that, irrespective if they're on your campus, you can reach out if they're on someone else's campus, whether they be a competitor or someone that's complementary to you, but having that common thread running through, I think is the one thing that's going to be consistent between them. So the whole thing for me personally on this is, I'm doing this content right now on my regular channel, and should I go back and do I separate it and do it on a separate channel just because it's not a how-to? I don't know the answer to that part here, so that's the one. If you do have any comments on that, please let me know below. If you are thinking about, creating online courses or creating how-to videos, I'd love to chat with you about it. Just make sure to go to trainingsites.io, and we have a done-for-you service if you just want to create content or need help creating content and want your own training site, or you want us to work with you to have it up on YouTube and have that new school approach or old school or even that middle school one. We can help you do that. If you don't want to learn how to do it, you just want to create content. So go there and you can book some time with me one-on-one, and we'll talk and see where either we fit in or what other resources you need to get started. But I think for this whole idea of an education business, we got a wonderful opportunity. It's not about courses, in my opinion, at this point. It's about how-to videos and thinking bigger picture. Where's my campus? Where is my live events and my services over and above my information? That's kind of the tip of the iceberg, or the base of the iceberg. The underwater part is, where is the rest of my business? Where is that kind of big piece of my business that doesn't show up just because I created a course and I put it on some website, whether it be my own or any one of these services? There's a whole bunch of other stuff that has to happen. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I might do these on here. If you don't want to see these, let me know, and I'll move them to the other channel. On the other hand, if you do think this is something of value, just thinking about these things and observing what's going on and maybe discussing it, I'll keep them here and put them in a separate playlist. But irrespective of that, I think it's going to be a really, really cool time as we wrestle with all of this stuff and see what works and see what doesn't work. And I wish I had a magic ball, but I don't. So let's stay tuned. Visit Training Sites, give me a chat, like and subscribe to the channel if this is something that makes sense to you or you want to learn more about it, and we'll go from there. My name is James, and been in lawn for a long time. First YouTube channel, 2009. Biggest business mistake I ever made was not sticking with it. So let's see what happens. Take care and expect the best.